So maybe you want to join me as I am going to make Lilikoi juice for the first time. We'll try it out. Maybe it'll be brilliant, maybe it won't. So the thing is with Lilikois, the more they look like wrinkly balls, the better, the sweeter they will be. So first thing you do, you cut them in half, and then we're gonna scoop their insides out. Okay, so now all of your insides of your Lilikoi juice are in your bowl or whatever you decided to put it in. And then you're going to get a sieve, or I don't know, in this case it's a very fine mesh strainer. And you pour that over another bowl, and you're basically just going to move it around until all the juice comes down. Now the seeds are edible, but many people don't like the seeds, so that's what we're doing here. Okay, and then all the juice will come into the bowl, and you pour that into a cup, and then you have your Lilikoi juice. So for the Lilikoi lemon bars, now I am juicing 1 lemon. And you're looking for about 3/4 of a cup, which I have almost exactly here. So grab a mixing bowl, and I don't have a measuring cup handy right now, so it's really important to just do proportions rather than to focus on whether or not you're getting the cups right. So if it's 2 cups of flour like it is in this recipe and half a cup of brown sugar, make sure that you're doing 2 of one of your measurements and 1/4 of the amount of flour you used for brown sugar, if that makes sense. Okay, so I'm going to start with sugar because it's closest to me, and I'm going to use brown sugar. Okay, I'm saying this is half cup brown sugar. I'm hoping for the best. And I'm going to do 2 cups of flour. I'm using all-purpose flour, but I've used gluten-free flour recently that I really like by Arrowhead Mills. It's made with brown rice, and it works really well. And it looks like I might be using that to finish off this recipe, as a matter of fact. This is only like half a cup, and I need 3 more of those. So this is the one that I'm talking about, the gluten-free flour. Love it. Then you want to add half a teaspoon of salt, especially if you're using unsalted butter. And just throwing a pinch, 2 pinches. Call it again. I'm going to put my butter in here. I soften the butter, but I know you're supposed to use chilled butter for everything, but I don't have a handheld mixer and just trying to make my life, you know, somewhat easier. I'm going to start mixing it all together. And actually, hopefully you've washed your hands, because if you have, realize you didn't add all of your butter, add the rest of it. So 3/4 cup is what we're looking at. And I'm doing unsalted butter. So I like to add my salt. But you personally might only have salted butter or margarine or even coconut oil. If you're using coconut oil, I usually use slightly less, and I try and use cold coconut oil. So what I would do is measure your coconut oil out in advance, and then you put it in the freezer for like 10 minutes, and then once it's solidified, you can mix it in like I'm doing with butter, and that's the vegan option. Okay, so once you've diligently mixed it all together, your crust should look something like this. And now I'm oiling my pan with coconut oil because I freaking love coconut oil, and I can't explain it more than that. I think it's great. And then you're gonna put your crust in the pan. Now my crust is super buttery, so I'm super hopeful that it's going to taste super buttery. It's supposed to be shortbread crust, and I'm super rusty with baking shortbread, so we'll see. Either it's gonna be freaking delicious, or I'm going to have to rethink which kind of crust I want to use in the future. But for now, this is where I'm at. So I'm just patting this crust down and into the sides, and as I'm doing so, some of the coconut oil that I oiled or like buttered the pan with is deciding that it wants to be pushed up. It's totally fine. It's just gonna make your crust more delicious in theory, and I cook solely based on theory. No, that's not true. I base all of my baking on hypotheticals that I create in the moment based off of some brief knowledge of baking. But that's fine. Alright, so patting it all down, and then maybe smooth it out a little. Mine looks like this. Okay, on to the next thing. Just kidding. You're going to throw this in the oven for 15 minutes. Cool. Okay, so I'm using 4 largish eggs, which I'm going to rinse really quickly. And I'm also using the same exact bowl that I just used because A, I'm going to conserve water, and B, I am a work smarter, not harder kind of human. Okay, that's all rinsed. If you want a vegan alternative, you can just use flax seeds, and it's actually way healthier, better for your brain than like egg alternatives that you would find at the store, and less packaging. Usually you can just buy them in the bulk bin. Why am I using eggs? I don't know, because I have them and I want to use them, and here we are. So I put those guys in, and now I'm going to use 1 1/4 cup of sugar. And I'm going to be perfectly honest with you, I only have brown sugar, so I'm going to continue to use. That's not true. Just found out I have regular sugar. But I like brown sugar, so I'm going to do half and half. So I'm going to do like, I don't know, slightly over half a cup of each. And again, I'm using my same handy non-measuring cup measuring cup. And that looks about right. So a really good tip that I do not follow is mise en place, and it basically means everything in place before you start, and it that prevents a lot of this confusion that you're seeing. Do I use my fingers a lot? Yes. But do I wash them? Yes. So I think it works out okay. I don't know, you tell me. I'm gonna mix these together just because I like the way the sugar and eggs look after I mix them. And then I'm gonna add a third cup of flour, and I'm gonna use that same gluten-free flour because that's all I got right now. Actually, I feel like there is another reason why I'm mixing the sugar and eggs before I add everything else, but it's one of those mysterious reasons that I can't remember, and I don't want to tell you falsehoods, so this is what I'm doing. I'm sure we can look it up later and find out the real answer for this. Okay, third a cup of this flour. Sure, looks good. Alright. I'm using a spatula, but you could use a whisk, you could use a fork, you could use anything you can figure out how to beat it with. And you don't have to be too vigorous with this. It's mixing in pretty nicely, to be perfectly honest, with just the spatula. And that's why I'm using it. Okay, now I'm gonna add the Lilikoi and lemon juice. This is roughly 3/4 cup. And I'm just gently going to pour it in here and continue to mix and pause a little bit. Make sure it's getting all nice and mixed in. Add a little more. And then just throw the whole thing in. Sometimes I like to scrape the container because not all the juice moves fast enough for my liking. I did have some Lilikoi pulp in here. I like pulpy juice, but you may not. Up to you how you want to go about it. And I had a little bit left from this bowl. I'm just going to make sure the rest of that gets in there too. So mix it all together, and then we wait for our crust to be finished, and then we're going to pour this on top, throw it in the oven, bake it for 45 minutes, and then we'll see what happens. Okay, so currently this is what the mixture looks like. Just for joy's sake, I'm going to go back and add some lemon zest in here. So because I'm a little monster, I forgot to add the lemon zest earlier. I'm going to add it now, but I recommend, if you're hopefully way smarter than me, you'll do it at the beginning. Okay, so I just pulled this out of the oven. It looks a little bit like this. The divots are totally normal. I mean, it's about to be covered anyways. So what I'm going to do now is slowly and steadily pour this in. I'm gonna coat this top layer. And just pour the remainder of this all out. And then you're gonna throw it in the oven for roughly 45 minutes. Because this is kind of like a curd, it is going to billow out in the oven. Once it settles back down and is a little slightly browned, that's when you'll know it's done. Or at least that's what the internet told me. At this point, in case you forgot, which I momentarily did, this pan is hot because it just came from the oven. So now you're going to, with a mitt, put it back in the oven and let the magic happen. Okay, I just pulled it out of the oven and it looks like this, and now I'm gonna let it cool. So I've decided to make a coconut glaze for the top. So I'm gonna put some powdered sugar in here. I'm just winging it, but I think you do like 2/3 cup powdered sugar and 1/4 of coconut milk. And I'm doing the coconut milk in the can because I have a ton in it. And you're gonna whisk it together. And you want it to be the consistency of glue. So if it's not the consistency of glue, you might need to add more powdered sugar, or you might need to add more coconut milk to get you there. In this case, I need to add more powdered sugar. So now that my glaze is the consistency that I want it to be, I'm going to pour it over. And yours will probably look a little bit like this. Now for the most important step. Share it!
I like it, it's like bread pudding.
With Lilikoi and lemon?
Lilikoi bread pudding.
Cool, cool. Good to know. What do you think?
Oh, he knew some.
Casey, you like it too? Alright, we're good.